Hello, everybody. I don't know if you can see me. Give me a shout, but welcome to the match preview. Everton away to Manchester United, Monday Night Football, Monday the 24th of November, 8 p.m. The Blues, of course, after a bit of poor form, managed to gain a win against Fulham 2-0 just before the international break, and they go in against a fairly decent form Manchester United. Again, please let me know if you can see me. I don't know if I'm having technical issues at the moment. But if you can, give me a shout. If not, let us know. And we will go. Hey, here we are. How are we, mate? You okay?
Oh, God. Okay.
There we go.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what was happening there, mate, but I think there was just an issue with the background. So, as we were just saying, obviously tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, 8 o'clock, Everton away to Manchester United. We've been in poor form. Decent results against Fulham a couple of weeks ago. What do you reckon then, Stevie, mate? Do you reckon we're going to be able to carry that form on, or do you reckon Manchester United can have too much for us?
I think that Manchester United have obviously improved significantly on the way they were last season. And you're right, it was a good performance going into the international break from Everton. Hello, everyone. We've obviously had a slight issue with the stream. We were actually going to go live last night, and honest truth is we're logged in and lots of our assets have disappeared, and we contacted StreamYard, our provider, to find out a little bit more about what's been going on. But anyway, yeah, great to see you. Great to see everyone. Looking forward to the game tomorrow after seeing so many important games this weekend. It's a big game for both sides. Obviously, Everton, we've got the incentive of going above both Man United and Liverpool, which is not something we often say. And then I think we're carrying a bit of momentum in from the last game, but we've not done that well at Man United in recent years. So it's going to be a tough game. And obviously Monday night under the lights, Old Trafford, it doesn't really get much bigger than that. So we've just got to make sure that we're fully up for it. I suppose one thing about doing the preview on a Sunday night is that we've been able to watch what sort of team news and injuries have been coming about as things have been developing over the weekend. We're getting wind of further injuries and so on. So it's all been quite interesting. I don't know, Corey, whether you managed to catch David Moyes' press conference on, was it Thursday or Friday? It seemed like a while ago.
Yeah, on Friday, I did, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to start with the team news, and then we'll go into sort of how Everton might set up and kind of break down Manchester United. It's not going to be the easiest game, is it? But we've got every chance of picking up something from the game.
That's correct, yeah. So in terms of team news, we all know about Jared Banthwaite being out pretty much long term. Probably not going to be back till after Christmas at the very, very earliest. And then the only other bit of team news is Maitland Rule. I think it's a hernia. He's had an operation for the hernia, and he is also going to be out. Potentially hoping he'll be back at some point in December. But he's going to be the only other player that's missing. Apart from that, no one else on top. Manchester United as well. We'll just obviously talk about their fitness and team news. I know they will have no Harry Maguire, Benjamin Šeško up top. He's also injured. They're the two main ones for them, I think, from you'd expect in their start 11. But for us, certainly, Branthwaite we know about. One thing we'll have to deal with, and Michael Keane's done very, very well in his absence at the moment. And, of course, Maitland Rule. But, again, he hasn't really started. It's more a case of maybe a kick in the teeth because of us, from us buying him or loaning him with the obligation to buy based on us staying up. And also, he's a really good option. The energy that he brought against Fulham a couple of weeks ago, yeah, he gave the ball away once or twice, but his energy was really good. I think he was good at really stopping the game, the tide turning into their hands, which can happen when you've been on top for so long and you get tired. And I think bringing him on, his energy, his physicality, was maybe not a big part of why we managed to hold out for the win, but he certainly kept us in the ascendancy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. He did well, I think, when he came on at the end of that Fulham match, and it kind of helped us to cement the victory in the end. He looks kind of expansive when he gets the ball, like he can get across the pitch quite easily, and he's going to be missed from the squad point of view. But I think we've kind of learned to cope with different players, key players being out from time to time. And I think you just have to have that resilience, don't you? And I think that's something that Moyes is very good at. Do you think he'll play James Garner again at right back based on the relative
It's
success of the last game? Or do you think that this is a more risky game to be playing a midfielder in a full back position?
it is, I think, and one of the big things we have to worry about is obviously Manchester United with the wing backs and then the midfielders who play and the wide midfielders as well, is that they're going to double up on the fullback. So it's a case of whoever we play is going to need to be very, very responsible defensively. So it's a tough one. I think he's going to stick with James Garner. I think we got to win from it. He's done well. He gave us some natural width. And if you've changed us to something and it's worked after not working, then why would you change back? But I can also imagine him going 4 centre backs and then having James Garner on that right hand side, maybe to really, really support Jake O'Brien if he was to again to stop that, just to fight against United's overload. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but I think if it was me, or what I think he will do, is he'll go with pretty much the same team, to be honest, to beat Fulham. We played really well. We were by far the better team, like absolutely dominant. 2-0 flattered them. The 5-0 probably would have been more apt, which we could have got, wasn't with disallowed goals. So I think you stick with that team that's done well, don't you? And I think for me, it'd be a no-brainer to do that, but
yeah, I think that he's going to go in, obviously, ex-Manchester United manager, of course, back to Old Trafford. The circumstances around his year there, it was always going to be in a tough... it was always going to be tough for Moyes to take the Man United game after Alex Ferguson. But he's proven himself as a manager, and I'm sure he'll be keen to prove himself once again to the Manchester United faithful that he's able to get good results. And I think that's something we've seen from Moyes. I think, he'll be setting Everton up to be hard to beat on Monday night, tomorrow night. And of course, there's every chance that we could do the Oviedo. I was actually at the game. Seemed like a long time ago. And actually, I think at the time I thought this was going to happen more often, but it just hasn't. And before that, it just hadn't. So that Oviedo game was just one of those nights where he slotted home right towards the end of the game, if I can remember, in front of our own fans. It was pretty wild scenes. So we want a bit more of that on Monday. And of course, if Everton do set up with the same way that you expect them to, it means no place for Tyler Dibbling. And he's not really been given much of a run. And he's in the plans, of course, but I think it's just the form of Illiman and Dye. And of course, Jack Grealish that's been keeping him at bay. But these days where Everton have got a £50 million player that isn't getting in the starting lineup, how strange do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, strange, I don't know, because obviously you're trying to get a young player who's going to be very, very good for you in the future. It is an expensive market, especially if you're trying to go English. We want the sell-on fee. But I just think, for me personally, I've said it before, I think Tyler Dibbling, it was the wrong profile of wide player. If we were going to get a wide player, and even if it was someone where we knew Njai was going to play on the right, so whoever we bought was going to be second string, a substitute winger, then I would have liked someone who would have been rapid, because we massively miss pace, especially late on in games. Someone who's fast, who's got trickery. Abdul Fattawi, but Leicester's one we mentioned. Certainly someone I would have preferred. Although I think he's got less of a ceiling than Tyler Dibbling does. It's more a case of the here and now, but maybe that's the new transfer team. That's their new strategy. We're going to buy for the long term. So I am surprised in terms of spending that much money when there's other areas that could have been used. Could have used that, paid less for someone with more pace. Maybe got a right back in, but yeah, I'm not surprised that he's not getting games. I'm not surprised that we bought him, but I would have personally gone for someone again with a bit more pace, just a different profile.
Yeah, of course. And if we do play the same side again, and I thought they were really quite good. It was a routine victory against Fulham. It seemed like a little while ago now with the international break. I think we're both at the game, which is rare. But yeah, I think that it means that Thierry Barry starts again, and the crowd are wanting him to do well, but he's just not breaking for him at the moment. Do you see him starting up front, or do you think he might change it and put Beto up there?
No, 100%. I'd go with Thierry Barry. He seems to hold the ball a bit better. I think that Moyes will probably want us to be able to do that instead of the ball constantly coming back at us. Because when United are on a fantastic team. They played a lot better this season, in much better form. They're much better catching teams on the counter attack or just going back at them. And I think that's where the issue is. So if we constantly let Manchester United keep coming at us and we lose the ball, well, then you want someone who's more likely to keep it, i.e. Tierney Barry. What I would also say as well is, on top of that, he played well against Fulham. You want to keep his momentum going, keep a bit of an upward trajectory. Yeah, he might not have scored yet, but he's playing better and better. He would have had a goal if it wasn't Njai wasn't offside. So again, you just keep that going. I think he deserves to do that. It'll probably work better for him in the long run. And I also think, again, from a tactical perspective, what we've said about Tierney Barry previously is that he's not the kind of striker who wants to sit in between the two centre backs. He likes to drift out wide, isolate a centre back, maybe play on a full back where he's got the physical advantage. Might not have as much of a chance to do it on a full back against United, but with their back three, because they like to play with a back three, he will be able to again peel out wide, isolate one of the centre backs, and then it'll hopefully allow for Njai, Grealish, and some midfield players to push forward, which we've played two other teams that play a back three so far this season. And that was Wolves, that was Palace. We've got good results against both of them. And both times, the central midfielders, Dewsbury Hall mainly, has bombed on from midfield. Timmy Gabunam again and Charlie Alcaraz against Palace have bombed on forward. And that's where we've created the chances. We've been quite successful. So I think Tierney Barry tactically also allows us to play to that strength, because he will, again, peel out wide on one of the wider centre-backs, uses his greater physical attributes, and then hopefully the central midfielders bomb forward, outnumber him in midfield, and hopefully we can get some luck that way.
Yeah, and at some point you would think that is going to break for him, and he's just going to find a lucky edge that he's been awfully close, and sometimes you find with strikers if that they just get that sniff, that goal from nowhere, that they can turn into a different player. And I think that maybe they've seen something in Tierney Barry. I mean, he did score a number of goals. I think it was in Serie A, wasn't it?
No, so La Liga, he got 12 last season in La Liga, and
he did score goals. But I mean, it's we've seen with winning, it can become a habit. We've seen with recent Premier League champions as can losing, naming no names right now. But I mean, of course, scoring goals is one of those things where it's very confidence driven. You almost have that aura that you're going to score. And, when some of the best strikers have gone through purple patches, that they've looked a different player, but the class is still there. And I just think that maybe they're seeing something with him in preseason and training and previous, that once he just gets the ball in the onion bag, that he will break through. And we'll see a better Tierney Barry. But if you just joined us, of course, Corey and I previewing the match at Old Trafford tomorrow night, where the Blues go in search of 3 points that could send us into, I think, 11th or something like, really decent position, considering that we're going into a busy winter period now, which is the same for all clubs. But of course, previous seasons, we've been always a little bit on tender hooks around the relegation battle that seems to be unfolding this season. Everton looking more likely to be pushing for mid-table, and much of that has been down to smooth transition relatively to Bramley Moore, where Everton have only defeated one. We've only been defeated by Spurs, of course. I don't know whether you saw it, sidetracked, Spurs losing against Arsenal earlier today. Sounds like you also watched the game. It was quite a thriller for Arsenal fans and not so much for Spurs, but Richarlison did get a nice goal there he lobbed the keeper with an inch perfect volley. And I think, I'm sure Eze will be thrilled with his hat trick. It shows you, anyone can beat anyone. And, I think it makes it hard to predict a lot of these games. And the fact that Liverpool have been losing games as well shows you how unpredictable it is. So I don't think it's a case of Everton have just got the hoodoos from the past. But if we look at the stats, they don't make pretty reading. Just 7 wins in 40 games against Manchester United, and that's that's relatively low. But United have always dominated, and these are some of the recent games. Any games particular that stand out in your memory where we faced up against the Red Devils?
The main one was it 4-4 or 2-4, and we were on the counter attack. Referee blew up for full time. We were on the counter, we'd have beat him. That one mainly sticks out in my mind just because it probably still bitter about it to this day.
Is that last February?
No. So this was years ago. I think Jack Rodwell was on the counter. That's how long ago it was.
That wasn't the one where it was 4-4 at Old Trafford, was it?
Well, yeah, I think we were on the break to for the winner as well. And
I remember they do rerun that game quite a lot on Sky Sports because it was a thrilling game. The 4-4. Pinar scored, didn't he?
But if we do,
Jalovic was in that team, I'm sure.
He was. He got the header loop. No, it wasn't. It was the one I'm thinking about was earlier than that. But the Jalovic one, he scored the goal right in the angle he looped the hair was ridiculous. I don't know how he did it. But going back to talking about the one in February, obviously the 2-2, we absolutely battered them for the first half.
Yes, I was in the park end.
Yeah, we didn't take 2-0 up. You would have thought that with 2-0 was taking your chances, but we didn't take further chances to go 3-0 up when we could have. And then the second half, they got back into it. Fernandez started pulling the strings for them. We really brought them into it. And then obviously right at the very end, obviously we had a chance for a penalty, which should have been a penalty. Ashley Young brought down. So again, we can feel a little bit aggrieved.
Yes,
little things like that. Yeah, we're against
right at the end of the game. That whole game, got the pin badge here somewhere, but that whole game was just there it is. That I think that was the last straw that we ever had at Goodison. I need to check the stats, but I think that was the last straw. That game we definitely should have won, but it became a bit immaterial in the end. But yeah, the Ashley Young thing was really sucker punch, but she said we should have taken the chances. And then of course they got a free kick and it was slotted home by Fernandez. So United came, it was a bit of a smash and grab to get the draw really, and they probably didn't deserve it. They took advantage of our mediocrity. But this is a different United side, it's also a different Everton side. I feel like both sides have become more ruthless and different in the way that they approach games. Obviously, Amarin has a lot of respect for Everton. I've seen his interviews in the build up to the game tomorrow. Respect for Moyes, of course. But he's been up against the Kosh. I mean, United went on a big losing streak themselves, very much like the Liverpool that we've got going on right now. And his probably a lot of people thought they're going to remove him as manager. So here we are. He's still the manager. United obviously now consolidating. I feel like from where they were. So how much do you rate him as a manager, as a tactician?
I mean, at Sporting Lisbon, he was exceptional. I think tactically he is very, very good. I think Manchester United has very much been a case of when, not if. I know that seems maybe a little bit revisionist in terms of history because of how poor they were. But he is a ideological manager. He has a very, very clear identity in terms of how he wants his team to play. He won't move from that. It's obviously been to his detriment, to be honest, mainly obviously last season. He did inherit a team that wasn't a squad that wasn't really built. The squad wasn't built to play the way he plays, so they were always kind of playing a system that was against the best nature of the players. Obviously, he's got more and more of these players in now who can play that system, and I think it's starting to pay some sort of dividends for him as well. So I'd look tactically. I think he is a good manager. He's a very good coach. His issue is, I think, his personality. He does rub a lot of people the wrong way. It's why they can be quite a streaky team. But yeah, pretty much yeah. Ideological, tactically very, very good. But maybe a bit stubborn, as a lot of these ideological managers are. And he's also quite say his ego, but again, it comes with the tendency of having an ideological manager.
Yeah, of course. 24 hours to kick off Says David, all our regulars that join us, thank you very much for joining us on a Sunday night. It's a time when a lot of people spend time on the internet. It's not a regular slot for us by any means, but with a Monday night kickoff. According to one of our subscribers, Emma, she's regular. The last time we went on a Monday night, Lukaku scored a hat-trick. I really hope that stat is proved wrong somewhere. But yeah, spot on. And I think, would you take a point from this game, like the way that things are? Would you say that would be a fair? I'm going to actually put you on the spot and say, what would you predict? But I mean, there's a difference between what you predict and what you take.
What I predict is Manchester United 1, Everton 0. That's what I predict. I'm sorry to be a bit of a Debbie Downer, especially on a Sunday. Right. Maybe it's just me realising that I've got work in the morning. I got work in 12 hours. But I think to be 1-0 United. Number one, they're in good form, especially at home. Number two, like Emma said, we've not got the greatest record on Monday night. And also, David Moyes' record against Manchester United as well. The only team he's got a worse record against is Liverpool, maybe Arsenal as well, but I think he's got a worse record against Manchester United. So, yeah, I think he is going to set up for us to defend. He's going to set up for us to maybe nick a point. I don't think it's going to be a great game to watch, to be honest. And I think they will probably get the win, but I would take a draw. There are ways there in which we can hit Manchester United. They're not completely infallible. If you win the midfield battle, if you're very, very physical in that midfield, if we get legs, pace, physicality in there, Tim Burnham will probably be the main choice in the central midfield. That's why I think Garner at right back. If you stop them doubling up on the wide areas, and again, if your midfielders are being physical, if they can bomb forward, if they can overlap or underlap, that's when you've got your best chance to get something from the game. And you can harm Manchester United. Like I said, they're not completely infallible, but they are a team in form. Certainly David Moyes' record against them, and Brian Mbeumo is playing well as well. So I've not got high hopes, mate.
No, I'd certainly take a point. And, it's hard to say that we're going to get all three, but I'm sure there's fans out there that just kind of want to see how it all pans out. But I think apparently that game that we're referring to was a 3-3. It's been a lot of score draws. Maybe it'll be 2-2 tomorrow. I'm going to go for 2-2.
2-2. Right, like I said, I'd take the point definitely. And they do concede Manchester United, so there is that possibility there. The issue is we don't really score too much.
I've just had a notification up to say the match is tomorrow. It's the 24-hour reminder.
Here we go.
Spot on. Exactly at this time. And the teams will be coming out the tunnel to 78,000, 76,000 at Old Trafford. They're rebuilding the ground there. There's whole development of things around the Trafford area in Manchester, but obviously they're looking forward to a big new stadium, a bit like us, but on an even more grandiose scale. And I'm sure that they're looking to get back to winning ways very soon. But Manchester United, obviously very similar to Everton in the way that they're tracking at the moment, looking for a season of consolidating, I suppose, what was a pretty awful couple of seasons, and trying to obviously get a new manager in. And so it's not too distant, and obviously they'll feel the frustration, but they've kind of got more used to it. We've been used to it for a while, but obviously they're getting used to it. Anything else you want to say about the game, or anything that's happened over the weekend before we wrap up, Corey?
I mean, not so much about the game. Like I said, for me, it's very clear cut. Stop them doing the overlap. Stop them doing the overload, on the wide areas. The central midfielders will need to help with that. The wingers will need to help with that. Central midfielders, we need to be physical. We need to be aggressive. We need to outnumber them in midfield. Probably why Dewsbury Hall will play the number 10 role again, and he'll probably just drop deep and play the 3 midfield a little bit more. And yeah, basically what I've said so far tactically is the way in which we can beat them, in my mind. However, whether that's the case or not, I'm not too sure. Again, Moyes will probably set up to get the draw. But if we do win, and this should be incentive for them, obviously, if we do win, we will leapfrog Brentford. We will leapfrog those across the park. And we will also leapfrog Manchester United into 10th. So we'll go into the top half of the league. We'll be 3 points behind Aston Villa if we are to win, who are in a Champions League place at the moment. And I think Spurs will also be level on points with us, but I think they'll have the greater goal difference. So it shows you the kind of teams you'd be bumping up above. If we can beat Manchester United, which again is certainly possible, that puts us in maybe good momentum. Obviously, when we've won lately, we beat Palace just before we went on an international break, and then some poor form. We've beat Fulham just before the international break, and then had some poor games. So if we can win a game on the return of the international break, it'll bump us up obviously against some teams who are fairly big, well-known teams, United, Tottenham, Liverpool. It will put us very close to Europe, and I think it'll put us in good stead, good momentum, maybe good mindset along the fans and the players that we can really go into December and really attack it and get as many points as possible. I know a lot of people are concerned with the running that we've got, but we go in with a positive mindset. Anyone can beat anyone this season, and if we go in with that positivity, get the ball rolling, and just let's do it. Let's make it a merry Christmas, and let's start as we move into the December.
Yeah, and plus that Arsenal game just before Christmas, I think that's going to be the first with the 1878 banner ads, and that's now been moved backwards to 8 o'clock. Almost all of these games have been moved somewhere, which is inconvenient for a lot of people, but it is what it is. I know that there's members of our channel that can't make to that game because of work and stuff. Obviously, Tony Harrington's the referee for tomorrow's game. Lots of these referees get singled out, but ultimately for me it's just the length of time it takes to make a VAR decision inside the ground is particularly frustrating. So it is what it is. You don't expect to get an awful lot at Old Trafford, but they don't have the same aura that he did under Alex Ferguson. So they are beatable. And we've seen that in the last couple of years that they've lost many games there. So, let's see if we can do the business. You're right about the running, but ultimately everyone plays everyone twice. And, you look at this league top to bottom and you think, oh God, there's no easy games. And even the sides nearer to the bottom, like Forest, who carved out a stunning victory at Anfield yesterday. They're down there in 16th on 12 points. But there really isn't a lot of difference between, say, where West Ham are, where Leeds are, and the top. There's a couple of wins just pushes you up. It's very, very tight for this time of season. You would expect a little bit more of a gap evolving. We're not seeing that, which means everyone's taking points on each other, and I think that's reflected very much in the way that we've won, drawn, and lost games. You can see our form there: drawn, won, lost, drawn, won. It's been a bit patchy before that Fulham game. It was kind of needed that we needed to get the points to take the pressure off because we just weren't getting any wins. But maybe after this Man U game, doesn't really get that much easier because we've got Newcastle, and obviously they're a difficult side to play against. I think they beat City yesterday, Corey.
They did, yeah. But I would say as well, despite them beating City, we do struggle a little bit when we go to their place. But at Goodison, we've typically been good against them. Now, I think Jordan Pickford kind of got over his mental issue with him, which is years old, by the way. Please don't think I'm trying to rehash something I think that we're long past now. But we've got a decent record against Newcastle. I'm just looking at it now. So the last one we beat them 1-0, 0-0 draw. Let's have a little look. So last time we played them at home, 0-0 draw, 3-0 win, with a 4-1 loss, 1-0 win. So yeah, we've got a fairly decent form against Newcastle. They're not a team that I go in thinking, oh my God, we're absolutely terrible. They're a team who they can't score goals. They're defending really, really well at the moment, to be fair, Newcastle, and that's the main thing. So that's the kind of team where we could nick a point against, could nick a win against, kind of thing, even if they're playing better than us. But yeah, I say I'm still fairly positive for Newcastle. I think we can get a result there. I think we beat Newcastle at home. I said we've got a strong record at Bramley Moor Dock at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. 1 defeat so far against Spurs.
Yes, it was a painful one. It really was. I'm still getting over it now.
But again, that's 1 loss so far. What is that? 1 loss in 6 this season. So we're very, very strong there. I think I'd hedge our bets against us on our home form this season, certainly. And again, the table itself is so tight. We're above Newcastle at the moment. We're playing well compared to them, you'd say, based on form. But yeah, it's all tight. Anything can happen. Like I said, I say we look at the positives. Don't look how close we are to the relegation zone because there's still only a few points in that. But we beat United. We're 3 points away from a Champions League spot at this moment in time. 2 points from a European spot. It is so tight. Anything can happen. You just need to, like I said, any team who gets on a good run and picks up 2-3 wins on the bounce will fly up that table because, like you said, everyone's taking points off everyone. So just yeah, I mean, be hard to beat. Don't get beat and get a couple of wins on the bounce. Get yourself into some good momentum, and when the games come thick and fast over the winter period, you'll soon find yourself after a week or two way higher than you expected. You know what I mean? And then that gap will begin to appear.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. You've got to take it one game at a time. I know that we had a sneaky look at the Newcastle game there. It was a bit cheeky of us, but of course, today we've been looking at Man United, and I hope you very much enjoyed our preview of the game. We kept it quite short and sweet. Of course, the game is only 24 hours away. It's on Sky Sports Monday Night Football, and I'm sure it's on BBC Radio 5 Live as well. And however you're watching, we'll be here live post-match. Ryan will be our man in the stand. You sort of sit in the corner and the upper tier, really, at Man United, and get a bit of an isometric view down at the pitch. Have you ever been there yourself, Corey?
I've been on a stadium tour, and that's it. Never been to a game, but I've been to a stadium tour there. So I took a big, massive turd in the toilet, I think, just to leave me mark.
Okay. I've got family in Man United, of course, sharing a neutral hatred towards the red side of Merseyside, and of course, the derby's going to be edging closer very, very soon. Of course, at Bramley Moor, I was looking ahead of that, and it's like, oh, okay, that's going to be some game. But we've got this Arsenal game, which I think, on today's evidence and where they are, I think that Arsenal game is going to be one that I think is an anchor game in Everton's season, as far as, this could be the first major game. I mean, maybe Newcastle's the first big game, but definitely Arsenal at Bramley Moor. And then we've just got to play all the bigs. We just got to play them all. It's going to be a big second half of the season, but we've started better, and hopefully they'll continue this into tomorrow. And if they put in the shift that they did against Fulham, then we'll certainly give them a really good bride. So yeah, all that's left for me to do is to thank you all for joining us and sitting back, watching Everton tomorrow, if you can, whether you're behind the sofa or in front of it. We'll be here post-match to bring you our candid reaction from the ground and from what we see and what we think, and whether you enjoy or dislike what we have to say. We do speak from our heart. Of course, we love the Blues as much as you, but we do have to kind of have our heads screwed on when we analyze these things. And the analysis from Corey, spot on today. And thanks for all your comments. I did try and put up some of them on the screen, as well as a new feature here on StreamYard that allows you to put up some of these comments on screen, so you can look forward to seeing them. Just keep it clean where possible. Of course, from Corey, from me, all that's left is for me to say thank you very much and enjoy the game tomorrow, and have a good night. Up the toffees.
Up the toffees.